Adventures on Sodor, Episode 9, Much Ado About Wilbert. Wilbert, the Dean Forest engine, had come for a visit. Engines from all over the island came to the sheds to talk to him. They liked Wilbert. He was kind and always made time to talk to everyone who visited. "What's your favorite part of our island?" asked Neville. "I love Oliver and Duck's branch line. What do you call it? The Little Western?" "As much as I love the forest, it's nice to get a change of scenery and look out at the ocean." "I wish you could visit more often," said Hero. "So do I," replied Wilbert. "You are all so kind, and your island is wonderful." Just then, Molly passed by. She didn't like Wilbert. He never did any work and just sat in the shed all day. She might have excused it, considering he was a visitor, if it weren't for him causing the other engines to fall behind on their jobs. Every day she would pass by the shed, and Wilbert would call out for her to join them, and every day she would ignore him. Wilbert never got discouraged, though, and made sure to offer every time she passed. Molly was a very hard worker. Some might say she worked too hard. Every day she would pull train after train, from first light until long after the sun had set. She rarely took a break except to take on coal and water. She hadn't had a new coat of paint for who knows how long, and she always slept in a siding right by the yard so as to get started on work as soon as possible. Molly was angry at Wilbur for trying to distract her from her work, and the one thing Molly loved to do when she was angry was to work even more. That evening, she didn't go back to the siding. She worked all night. By morning, Molly was exhausted. So was her driver, and he offered to take her back to her siding. "Goodness me, no," replied Molly. "We still have a full day's work ahead." Her driver reluctantly agreed. Later, Molly had to take a long train of goods to the docks. The train was heavy, and Molly had a hard time stopping at signals in her exhaustion. As she passed Wilbert's shed, he saw how tired she looked. "Molly," he called, "come take a rest." Molly ignored him and kept going. Wilbert was worried. "She looks like she could fall asleep at any moment," he thought to himself. Ahead on Molly's line was a siding, and the points were set to it. Molly noticed and applied her brakes, but the trucks saw their chance. They surged forward, and Molly couldn't stop the heavy train. Heavy rain had made the ground around the siding into a swamp, and part of the track had sunk into the mud. Molly went off the tracks and stuck fast in the mud. The cleanup was a difficult job, as the mud didn't want to give way. Wilbert had come to help. Sir Topham Hatt looked sternly at Molly. "You've been working too hard," he said. "Your parts are worn, and you'll have to go to the works." Molly sighed. "But who will take my trains, then?" "I will," said Wilbert. "I enjoy talking to the engines in the shed, but they have kept me from doing any kind of real work. I miss pulling trains." Molly realized she had misjudged Wilbert entirely, and apologized to him for being rude. They soon became friends, and while Molly was at the works, she knew that she could trust Wilbert to keep her trains running on time.